So let's create a new serialized item. From my item record screen, I'm going to click the new item button. As usual, CribMaster is going to suggest a number for me based in sequence on the last number that was created, but I can change this if I need to. I'll go ahead and say 2021. Now, the next thing I select is the item type. Expendable is selected by default, but notice that the serialized item checkbox is grayed out. That's because I can't serialize an expendable item. Certain item types cannot be made serialized. Reworkable, for example, cannot be made serialized. With durable, I do have the option of serializing it. But with a gauge, not only can it be serialized, it has to be serialized. So the box is checked and I cannot uncheck it. With a kit, for the most part, kits, you have the option of serializing it. However, if the kit contains components that are serialized, then the entire kit must also be serialized. Let's go back to gauge. We'll create a gauge. And we'll just give this a very generic title. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this, and you'll notice that a couple of tabs are going to pop up. After I've saved it, I get a Serial ID tab. That is because the item is serialized, and I get a gauge tab because I picked item type gauge. So now that the item is defined, we can add instances of the item. In other words, serial IDs. When I click the Serial ID tab, you can see that I've got a grid similar to the item records screen, as well as some buttons for creating new serial IDs. All I need to do is click the button once, and it will create a new instance. It's going to go ahead and give it a serial ID, as well as all the other details. Now, even though this is the first serial ID I'm creating for my gauge, it still has to be unique. All serial IDs throughout the entire system have to be unique. So that's why it gave me 8 instead of, say, 1. Another thing you may notice is that it has a status of unassigned. That's because we're creating this serial ID at the item level. So it has not been assigned to a bin, it doesn't live anywhere yet. Now I can create as many of these serial IDs as I like, and CribMaster is going to go ahead and assign them the next serial IDs in sequence, but just like with the item number, I can change it if I need to. Let's look at some other ways to create new serial IDs. If I go to my item information tab or my gauge, I can come down here to the bottom part of the tab where it says crib bin, and I can create a new crib bin that's assigned to this item. I just click that new button, and it went ahead and created one for me. Now that's based on two things. Notice that the 02 is the leading characters. Those are the crib that it put it in. Why did it put it in crib 2? Well, because crib 2 right now is our home crib, so it's going to automatically assume that we want to put it in crib 2. It also looked at crib 2 to determine what the next available bin ID is, and it determined that 02-04 is the next available bin in sequence. So I'm going to tab out of there. So now we have a bin. I can go ahead and create additional ones if I want. So we've created these bins, but we have not yet associated specific serial IDs with them. To do that, I'm going to select one of these bins, and then I'm going to click this button right here. If you hover your mouse over it, you can see it says create multiple serial IDs. So we'll go ahead and check that. And it's showing me these two panes. This pane over here is showing me the available bins, and up here it's telling me what the next serial ID is going to be, and I have the option of selecting how many. So I'll go ahead and say we'll create 3 of these serial IDs. And we have the option of saying 1 serial ID per empty bin. That means that each bin will only contain one item in it. I can go ahead and uncheck that because maybe I want to put six in there. Also, if we have multiple cribs, we can specify what our target crib is, but right now we're only dealing with crib number 2. Okay, so we're going to create 6 serial IDs. We want to select the bin to do that in. I'm going to select this top one, and I'm going to click this button right here. And notice that it has created 6 new serial IDs, and it's assigned them all to crib bin 020204. Now let's say that I want to add 2 to this other bin right here. I can do that as well by clicking those arrows. Notice once again all of these serial IDs are unique, even though they're being placed in different bins. Now, right now, CribMaster has only allocated the space to us, but it has not yet created the bins. It's not going to do that until we come up here and click the Create button. And there we go. Let me exit out of here. And we'll go to the Serial ID tab, and look at that. Those are our new serial IDs, and notice that these have a checked in status rather than an unassigned status. And that's because we put them in a home. They now live in these particular crib bins. Therefore, they have a status of checked in.